All right, I know that this is a highly requested one that we always come into. Taking a look at Simcoe, we're going to specifically move into the freehold market there. And as we talked about in a few areas, our month-over-month median price, we are seeing just a slight decline there. I mean, you're staying fairly level. It's 781 to 780. You know, that's not bad at all. Our transaction volume, again, maintaining 406 units the prior month. In March, we saw 409. Termination volume, as people are trying to get the pricing in there, it is up 52%. Not as drastic an increase in terms of our year-over-year changes we've seen in some other areas. So I think, like we talked about, same with Georgina, I think a lot of the big corrections happened early, and we're starting to see more of a stabilizing in their market just in general. New listings being up month over month, but down year over year, which is very interesting to see in comparison to where our market was last year. But yeah, Matt, still that adjustment from last year's pricing. We're down 6% year over year.
We're down 6%, but like as we were going through the summer months, we had started to notice that Simcoe was changing. Simcoe's market was different than what we were seeing in York region. We were seeing a little bit of strength in the Durham region as well, but definitely Simcoe is standing out as there was something in the market changing, and it was noticeable. So at the beginning of the year, these year over year changes are down 6%. Sales are down 40%. I think as the year goes on, these numbers will decrease quite a bit. Because Simcoe started this year pretty hot, and just like everywhere else, the consumer confidence has fallen off a map. We'll see that in the data, but this is another area I'm excited about because I do think it's turning a corner. I think when the buyers come back to the market, this is going to be the one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so keep going. Talk to me here about the new listing inventory that we're seeing up there, because again, we're not seeing the record highs, or we're not seeing it outstrip previous years. We're actually sitting at what seems to be one of the lowest years ever for new listings.
Yeah, this is the second lowest year, and we started January, just a little below middle of the pack, and then when we went into February, this was the lowest, I believe, unless there's a faint. I think there's a faint line there. We were tied with one other year for
2014.
So we weren't getting this massive. Yeah, it was 2014. Yeah. So we weren't getting this mass influx of new listings, but we've started to come up to the high side, which we typically do in Simcoe for March, but still only in the last 14 years, only 1 year has had more new listings in the March market. So that's going to bode well for prices.
Yeah, I'm thinking we might match this 2011 line here and just start to I don't think we're going to roll over. I think we will see more new listings continue to hit the market, but I don't think it's going to do it in such an uptick that we saw maybe here in, what am I looking at there, 2022? Yeah, probably 2022 with that big increase. But I'd expect kind of that leveling off a little bit, still increasing, but leveling off. And when we come into active listings, here's the secret for sellers. You are not in a set buyer's market as much as we're seeing in other regions right now, right? We're right in the middle there in terms of active listings in comparison to the last 14 years.
Yep.
Sales volume. Here's Matt. Here's where we all have to just adjust for a second. We're seeing some positive signs, right? I would say that those are more leading indicators that we were looking at just for a second there. And what we're seeing here is the sales volume that's trailing a little bit, and it's still down. We're looking for more buyers to enter into the market. That will come as we start to get more certainty around what's going on in our current environment with tariffs and whatnot. But again, not a huge drop off like we saw in some other areas where we saw big declines from February to March as everybody put things on hold. But we're seeing a leveling off in that sense, month over month.
We are, and to be fair, we're not rolling over like a lot of other places, which is a great sign. It's holding steady. I think if the tariff talk isn't there, we're above 600, 700 sales. But because that's there, again, this is holding everything steady. This noise will likely pass. People will adjust. New trade partnerships will happen. And people are going to start getting back into the market. And when you have active listings that aren't at all-time highs, new listings that aren't piling onto the market at all-time highs, when buyers come back to the market, there's going to be pent-up demand, and it's going to drive these prices higher. And it might take a little bit longer, maybe till June, July, August, we don't know. But this market's set up to excel. Whereas a lot of other markets have so many active listings, even when the buyers come back, it's going to take so much time for that active listings to work its way down and for prices to start accelerating.
Yeah, comparatively, it does look like Simcoe's poised to have a quicker return than other areas when this thing turns around. And you can see it here in terms of median sale price. We have lost a few years there, but we are above the 2021 numbers. So yeah, not bad. And we're, again, just down a little bit from where we were in 2023. So obviously the big adjustment happened from 2024 to now, but not looking bad there in terms of median price, again, in comparison to some other areas that we've been watching.
And you know what, it's good enough that, like I said, if we start to see buyers come back to the market, this price can definitely get above where we saw 2024 and 2023 prices at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It is poised to be the new high for the area in terms of where it can go. It is not a long jump to get to here, whether it be in April or maybe we do see it lag behind, where we see that in July and August, right? As we start to see, we're going to see another cut coming. Maybe after our election, things calm down as well. We start putting new trade agreements in place, like you said. They could swing around quite quickly. Now, when we're looking at months of inventory, we are still a little bit on the high side. We are at 6 months worth of inventory when we're looking across the board at our freehold homes. I don't know if there's much else to say there, Matt. Like they haven't rolled over in the way that we saw Georgina in terms of necessarily trending downwards. Like we're kind of ping-ponging here in terms of where we might be ending up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think because just the way sales went stale, we're starting to see a build up on the months of inventory. But also in the past, this isn't anything new to Simcoe. They're used to being between the 4 and 6% range. We've had those two different scenarios where interest rates went zero bound and we had a lot of activity and a lot of buyers there. But it's not uncommon to see, their months of inventory float between the 5 and the 7 months. So we're sitting at just below 6. And again, once we start to see some sales pick up, this number is going to roll over pretty nicely.
Yeah, agreed.